Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Fernanda Torres Maqueda, and I am the Senior Program Manager of Public Allies Arizona.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jacob Teskey, and I am a Program Manager at Public Allies Arizona.
We want to definitely thank you, everyone, for applying to our Fall 2018, Summer 2019 cohort. So today we're going to be covering a variety of different items as they relate to the matching fair orientation. While you're not able to physically be at the orientation itself, we did want to ensure that you are receiving the same information as our in-state candidates. While this is a pre-recorded session, you are more than welcome to contact us with any information that you may have. So we'll just go ahead and jump right into it. Now, the presentation that we are going to share with all of you candidates is in relation to the logistics of the matching fair itself and AmeriCorps in general, in addition to a few interview tips that we would like to share with you to ensure that you are successful in matching up with an organization, and just to ensure that we are able to provide you with any of the tools necessary to make sure that you are successful in that capacity. Now we're going to go ahead and just go into the logistics of, let's see, here we go. Okay, so we wanted to start off with defining what Public Allies is. And while we've covered this through a variety of different methods, we just want to make sure that we go over it one more time, as some aspects of the program have or can be a little confusing to candidates. So we're just going to break down the process step by step. Now, Public Allies, as a reminder, is an AmeriCorps national and a state program. We are located in a variety of different states. Here in Arizona, we are going into our 13th year. Now, as I've mentioned to many of you, in Arizona, we are based out of the Arizona State University campus here in downtown Phoenix. However, to be a part of Public Allies, you do not need to be a student. What that means is each Public Allies entity or location is affiliated with another organization, or they stand on their own. So for example, we are based out of ASU, and we have locations that are based out of other community colleges throughout the state, and we also have certain locations that are based out of nonprofit organizations. So they do tend to vary throughout different states, but essentially the program itself is the same. Now, again, as a reminder, it is a professional leadership development paid apprenticeship program. Now, what's interesting about our program is that while there are a wide variety of different demographics and entities that AmeriCorps covers, our program is very unique in the sense that we have a specific niche of covering issues as they relate to social justice and equity, in addition or in collaboration with professional development. So essentially what we want to do is to prepare the next generation of leaders to work within the sector, but to really empower candidates as they may be beneficiaries of certain organizations, or they may be members of I would say communities that our organizations work with, and we want to make sure that throughout our program that we give you the tools, the knowledge, and anything that you may need to bring back what you gain from the program and from your partner organization to your own community and create local change there. So we do have a very strong tie to the nonprofit sector, and the organizations that we work with that we call our partner organizations are also 501c3s or nonprofit organizations or state agencies. So that's certainly our niche as Public Allies. Now, our large aspect of our program, because it is mutually beneficial, is to provide that development for candidates or allies, as we call them in the program, but also to build capacity within our partner organizations. And what that means is that allies provide a benefit to the organization by expanding or developing a project or a program that the organization feels is going to better meet the needs of their beneficiaries. So it could be expanding an existing program, or it could also be launching a program or a project that the organization has been wanting to work on. So it's very much a collaborative and a mutually beneficial program, but it's very unique to our organization as Public Allies. Now, you'll notice that we are located, again, in a variety of different states. And while all of our locations operate a little bit differently in the sense that there's different needs within different communities and different demographics, we also have a mission to create a just and equitable society and the diverse leadership to sustain it. So again, it is a large aspect of our program to ensure that we are recruiting diverse candidates, especially as they relate to their diverse communities. We do want to ensure that anyone that is being represented, especially at a leadership or an executive level, can actually resonate with the communities that they serve, which is still significantly, I would say, gap within the sector itself. So Public Allies works to fulfill that gap in a variety of different capacities. Now, as you'll see, Public Allies is changing the face and practice of leadership in communities across the country, which relates back to that mission. And while we are working here locally through small projects or even large projects, as our overall strategic plan, we are working to build that next generation of community leaders, which would be you all as you are placed within your nonprofit organizations. So again, here in Arizona, we are based out of the Arizona State University Lodestar Center for Philanthropy and Nonprofit Innovation. So our center is very unique to our university, and essentially what the Lodestar Center is the central hub for anything nonprofit in the state. So we are a program that was adopted through the Lodestar Center. Now, we are one of multiple entities that is offered throughout the center, so we are not necessarily academic-based or affiliated with the academic side of ASU, but what we do is provide a very specific service to the sector. Now, the Lodestar Center does a significant amount of research for the nonprofit sector here in Arizona and also on a national level. We also host a large statewide nonprofit conference and offer a multitude of professional certificates in the nonprofit field. In addition to that, we also conduct quite a bit of strategic planning as it relates to the sector, both excuse me, here on a state level and on a national level. And also many of our staff members are board members or committee members on, again, a state or a national level. So we're very much involved with Public Allies as a whole, but also more than anything in the nonprofit sector as a whole. In addition to that, our involvement is fairly deep within Public Allies itself. So our executive director here at the Lodestar Center is actually also on the national board for Public Allies. So we are certainly one of the larger locations for Public Allies, but we're also able and have the benefit of using the resources as offered by the university and the Lodestar Center to dramatically expand our program and be able to offer our candidates a multitude of opportunities. So since 2016, again, we're going into our 13th year, Public Allies Arizona has created a network of 350 plus alum. We did just graduate a cohort a couple of weeks ago that has generated approximately 700,000 hours of service in what is just the Phoenix metropolitan area. Now, as you can see, we also offer a Eli Siegel Education Award as part of the program. So here in Arizona, we have delivered $2.5 million in education awards as our cohorts have graduated. But of course, that's something that's also offered on a national level. But we are certainly very proud of our stance here at ASU and excited to be going into our 13th year and continuing to adapt and grow our affiliate location. Now, while Public Allies as a whole and AmeriCorps as a whole offers a variety of different opportunities through different, I guess what you could say is areas of focus. Here in Arizona, we have 3 specific niches. However, that is not to say that we don't work outside of these 3 entities, but based on our needs here as a community and as a state, many of our nonprofit organizations tend to focus their work and their resources on the 3 areas of education, healthy futures, and economic opportunities. Now, majority of our organizations do fall between these 3 entities, but they also tend to cross-pollinate quite a bit. In the realm of education, unfortunately, Arizona is one of the bottom states for academic opportunities just across the board, which directly relates back to healthy futures and economic opportunities. So as many of you may know, and if you don't, you will learn throughout the program, many of our social justice issues or issues as they relate to marginalized communities or needs within the community really tend to string together. And you will notice through your work within your organization and throughout our training days that many of the issues that we experience as community members are essentially embedded into one another. But for the purpose of our PowerPoint and our presentation, we did just want to separate those 3 different focus areas now. But again, these are also focus areas as they relate back to national service or Public Allies on a national level. Now, as part of our program, we focus majority of our curricula around 6 core values. And these 6 core values not only are related back to the curricula that we deliver, but really how we represent ourselves as an organization and the values that we put on and really in everything that we do programmatic-wise. So Because of our mission in wanting to develop next generation leaders, diversity and inclusion it's a very pivotal part of our program. So what that means is that we believe leadership is best when reflective of diverse communities. We listen, learn, and work effectively across differences in order to build the common good. Again, because of the different demographics that we work with and because of our social justice aspect, we do want to ensure that we really stick to our name. And what that means is, as public allies, we want to ensure that every single voice in the room is heard, and that every different demographic and that every different community member is listened to and their perspective is seen. And as part of our program, more than anything, we want to make sure that as a cohort, that you all view each other as colleagues and as great assets to our community. So we very much value our diversity and inclusion, even as it relates back to our staff members as well. We have a very diverse staff because we do think it is pivotal to have staff that is representative of what may resonate with candidates or allies, and also be able to have a very diverse staff to ensure that each, or as many of our communities is represented, even on a professional level. So again, there is 6 core values. We have integrity, focus on assets, which relates back to diversity and inclusion, and in the sense that we do believe that all people and communities are full of promise and potential. And that's something that really thrives and drives our program as public allies, because although we have candidates that come in with a variety of different backgrounds, as they may relate to academic, professional, economic, really anything across the board, we do believe and see everyone equally, and very much value soft skills and hard skills equally. So we do want to ensure and really implement the fact that everyone is coming in with very specific experiences and qualities that really do benefit our program and benefit the community, and make sure that each individual knows that they have something to bring to the table. And also as it relates back to the community as a whole. Now, as being part of a nonprofit, collaborative efforts or collaboration as they relate to our core value is also very pivotal to our organization. It is a cohort-based program, so while the development itself is done on an individual level, a very large majority of our programming is done through teamwork and collaborative efforts as they relate to nonprofit organizations here in the Valley, and also through ASU. So we consistently try to implement curricula and activities that relate as a team as a whole, as we do believe that large aspects or collaborative efforts are really best to fulfill the true needs of our community. And we really want to ensure that everyone works in a more cohesive manner. And because of that, we implement that directly into the program, as well as we definitely understand and know that being a collaborative team member is really essential for your success in the nonprofit sector. In addition, continuous learning is also a large aspect of our program. So we do offer 2 training days a month throughout our program, in addition to different training opportunities and learning opportunities, because again, we do believe in continuous development throughout your professional career, and we would never want to give anyone the impression that there is a stop frame essentially when it comes to learning, because the community is always developing. Unfortunately, our issues as they relate to social justice and equity, they're always developing and growing. And as nonprofit leaders and as community leaders, we need to really make sure that we're continuously, I guess you could say, pursuing learning opportunities to continue to fill those needs or those gaps. And lastly, innovation just ties directly into that, and being able to respond to the different demographic, political, and social shifts as they develop throughout our nation, and something that's it's very much current, and being able to really be on top of everything as it's happening, and also as preventative measures, again, just related back to fulfilling those community needs. Let's see. Sorry about that. My PowerPoint's a little slow. Now, as public allies, we have a multitude of program components. So what that means is that the program is not just about professional or leadership development on an individual level. It is broken down to a variety of different categories, but they also relate back to just the cohort-based program as a whole. So the placement in practice is a large aspect of our program. So to successfully complete Public Allies and to graduate from the program, allies have to complete a total of 1,700 hours throughout their placement term. Now, 1,300 of those hours relate back to the the hours that they put into their placement organization, while the remainder of those 400 hours relate back to community service opportunities and additional training opportunities. So those training days that I mentioned earlier, in addition to any other opportunities that may present themselves. And while we certainly want you to gain as much information as possible from our training days, we certainly encourage you to pursue different opportunities outside of our program that, if eligible, can still count towards those hours to ensure that you are successful in providing you with a more well-rounded opportunity and learning-based model. Now, this continuous learning, going back to what I mentioned earlier, is the biweekly training days, or community space days as we call them, that happen every other Friday from the very first month of the program to the very last month of the program. And that continuous learning aspect, or those training days, are kind of twofold, you could say. One large aspect of it, or half of it, is going to be that professional development. So learning how to self-market, how to be a professional self, dressing for success, your elevator pitch, anything that you may need on a professional level as it relates back to the nonprofit sector, but also really just skills that are going to be transferable across any field. While the other half of the program is going to be related to that social justice and equity aspect. So as far as our program goes, we like to be as transparent as possible as to what is happening in our community by allowing for the opportunity for both sides of, I guess you could say, any issue to be seen and heard. So our job is to not sway any of our allies in any political manner or social manner, but what we certainly want and expect of anyone that joins our program is that they have the ability and desire to view both sides of every issue to ensure that they are receiving, I guess, everything full circle and not kind of seeing anything from a biased point of view, because we do believe that having both sides of the story will allow anybody, and especially us as emerging leaders, to better do our due diligence of helping our community. Now, excuse me, the service aspect of our program relates back to service type opportunities. So as public allies, we have a minimum of 4 service days that we are mandated to proceed out. Now, those change depending on the affiliate location, but essentially here in Arizona, our 4 days are going to be MLK Day, Cesar Chavez Day, Global Youth Service Day, and then also a day in the fall. So what that means is that during those days, we partake in community service type activities along with our community members, and also in collaborative efforts. So it could look like something. Perhaps this last MLK Day, we created a curricula and a program for community members to come speak and give feedback on issues that relate to race and inequality within our state. While our Global Youth Service Day, we actually partnered with the local school district and created a kindness fair for the students of that school district and also for their families. And we were able to deliver activities and curricula in both English and Spanish, as that's a large need here in our state. But it certainly also relates back to our strongly encouraging you to pursue volunteer opportunities outside of just these 4 days. And what that can look like is you reaching out to an organization and either volunteering with them for a single day. It could be a continuous volunteer opportunity, but more than anything, it also serves as a great opportunity for you to network, especially those of you that are coming from out of state. We have a very tight nonprofit sector here in Phoenix. While we are one of the top 5 growing states in the country, our nonprofit sector is, while very small, very intimate at the same time. So we do want to ensure that throughout the program, you're able to network as much as possible. And while we are going to provide you with those opportunities, that also, as part of your development, would be you reaching out to organization and basically seeking those opportunities on your own as well. Lastly, one of the final aspects of our program is evaluation and reflection. So we provide you with the tools and opportunities to learn how to evaluate your personal development and your growth through self-reflection, but also allowing other allies, your partner, supervisor, your program manager, and really anyone else that's involved in the program to provide you with constructive feedback. So we definitely do believe in that reflection and feedback is very pivotal to self-development and self-growth. But we also want to ensure that because you are working in a nonprofit sector and interpersonal relationships are essentially what drive this field, that you are open to constructive feedback and being able to kind of take it in and implement it in whatever way that may be, or whatever topic that may be. So that is a very large aspect of our program, and we do partake in a variety of different evaluation and reflective activities as they relate just here on a local level, but also as they pertain to national requirements. Alrighty. Now, while there are a variety of different benefits to being a public ally, we do have kind of a set list of things that pertain to just everything on a national level or every affiliate location. So as many of you know, we do provide you with a living allowance or a stipend. So what that looks like is throughout your 10th month period, from September till June, you receive a stipend on a monthly basis. As a collective whole, the entire stipend would be $13,750. Now that total sum is divided into 10 increment payments. So each month you do receive $1,375 in a stipend amount. However, that is pre-taxed. Each month you will be receiving that stipend. While you do have to complete a total number of hours to successfully graduate from the program, you are not paid on an hourly basis, because essentially as a stipend and an apprenticeship program, you are mandated to work a full-time schedule every single week, but that's not necessarily related back to the stipend itself. Because there could be weeks that maybe you work 40 hours, there could be weeks that you work 43, 45, however the pay is still going to be the same because it is a stipend amount. Now, if eligible and if necessary, you may qualify through healthcare as offered through the core network of AmeriCorps. So certainly if that's something that you are interested in pursuing, there are preliminary steps that we have to take prior to going down that route. But that's something that you would just notify us about, and we cover it, or what that process may look like, after candidates have been matched and officially in the program as a public ally. So that's a benefit that comes once you're already an ally itself. Now that also goes same with child care assistance if eligible, and there's certain income requirements that need to be met. We can also offer you those services as offered through AmeriCorps on a national level. Now, those two might pertain to certain individuals if necessary, but one thing that is offered to everyone if successfully graduated from the program is the Eli Siegel Education Award. Now, the Education Award is a total of $5,815. It is considered income and it is taxable because they are grant funds. However, that is a total gross amount. Now, this sum can be used toward future academic post-secondary opportunities, or it can also be used to pay back existing and eligible student loans. And again, if you may have any questions as to how to use that award as we go throughout the program, we as program managers can certainly assist you in that capacity as well. And of course, there is also the community building aspect of the program, where you're able to grow within your cohort, build lasting relationships throughout the cohort, and also building relationships and experiences with your program managers, with your placement organizations, and the community as a whole. So what is really wonderful about our program is that we very much value all of our stakeholders in our program. And those stakeholders, and essentially three would be public allies as an organization, allies themselves, of course, main beneficiaries of our services, and also our partner organizations. So we very much try to provide as many opportunities throughout the program to kind of bind all three entities together to our best ability, to just make sure everyone's on the same page and that we are all receiving, especially allies, the best experience possible throughout their program. And lastly, you are also going to build a supportive network of very like-minded individuals. As I mentioned earlier, our allies come from a variety of different backgrounds and walks of life. And while we don't necessarily guarantee that everyone is going to be like-minded, definitely one thing that everyone is going to have in common is that we all have a passion to help our community. And sometimes, even if that might be the only thing that we have in common or that allies have in common with one another, that's such a strong value to hold as a collective that we have seen, that maybe being the minimum. And as the cohort develops and as the program develops and we grow together, we tend to find a lot more similarities in everything. And again, that relates back to our diversity and inclusion model, that we very much value differences just as much as we value people being like-minded. And again, because we give such a great value to both aspects of the program, it really provides all of our allies, our staff, and our partner organizations with a very well-rounded experience throughout our 10 months of service. Now, as I mentioned, Public Allies is a mutually beneficial program. So what that means is, while it is a professional and leadership development opportunity for our allies, there is a strong benefit for our partner organizations. So our partner organizations have the opportunity to serve as mentors to our allies, outside of just what I guess you could say are the basic supervisory duties. So they are able to have a young leader within their program. They're able to have someone that might be new to the field that will offer a new perspective. They may have someone that has been maybe a beneficiary of similar services that can offer feedback to better meet maybe their target demographics. But more than anything, an ally is brought into the program again, to provide a very specific value to the organization by expanding or growing or developing or launching something that is going to be beneficial to the organization. So for the organization, you are able to provide them those 1,300 hours over a 10th-month period in which you will be building capacity, which is something we'll go over in just a little bit. But it's also an opportunity for them to pilot or expand a program without taking too much of a financial hit. So it's certainly an opportunity for them to really trial run new things while still being able to grow as an organization. And again, having the opportunity to mentor a young emerging leader that, with the hopes of the program and our full confidence in what you're bringing to the table, is that you are going to develop from an ally to a fellow colleague in the nonprofit sector. And what's really great about our location is that we experience a pretty high rate of allies being actually hired on to their partner organizations as actual staff members after the program itself. So that's a little bit about just the program as a whole. So Jake is actually going to be able to cover a little bit more about the matching for orientation as far as it relates to the logistics, the timeline. However, if you do have any questions, again, because this is a pre-recorded session, you're more than you're more than welcome to contact Jake and I with any concerns that you may have. So I'll go ahead and hand it over to you, Jake.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Fernanda. So again, I'm here to kind of discuss the matching fair orientation logistics and what that day kind of looks like to best prepare you for the event itself. Additionally, we will be forwarding to the out-of-state candidates resources in which we highly suggest you take advantage of to help develop yourself for that day and how to really present yourself. So we will move forward. The day itself is split up into two varying rounds. They're similar with the exception of the beginning and the end. So the beginning of the day is we will do a welcome and agenda. There will be a round one of ally introductions. And so this is your opportunity to give an elevator pitch, a 30-second, encapsulation of your background, your experience, and what interests you, and we'll go more into that. There will be a component of speed networking, and so what that looks like is every partner organization that we have will be set up in which you have about roughly 4 to 5 minutes to sit down and get to know more about the supervisor as well as the organization itself. From there, we will take a break and then come back to do informal networking. And so what that is kind of a free time for you guys to approach organizations in which you want to learn more about, and in which you want to, understand more of what they do and the programs that exist and what you would be doing and who you would be working with. So again, that's round one. Round two will be essentially the same thing with the second half of our finalists. And again, it mirrors the round one. You will do your elevator pitch for your ally introductions, break into the speed networking round, break, and then come back for the informal networking and preferences. And again, we will go more into depth with these with the following slides. The event itself is held at SkySong, an ASU organization or building. And so you should have been provided the address already, and we will definitely make sure that we send that back out to you in the event you didn't get it. But this is where the event will be held. There's parking in the north lot. And aside from that, we'll kind of give you an idea of what the room setup will be itself. So this will be the room that we are in. You'll see that it's kind of set up as in a U shape. So on the outside of the tables, or the outside of the U, I guess you can say, you will have the partner organizations, their partner or the organization supervisor, who would be your supervisor as well as mentor throughout this process. And then you will each individually visit each organization and go through them until you've spoken with every organization. So you will be speaking to every organization regardless of your interest in that organization particularly. So we really encourage you to, even for those that you are not interested in, to get to better understand them. Like Fernanda said, the nonprofit sector here in Arizona is very tight knit, and so the chances of you speaking to somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody is very likely. And so we really want to make sure that you are giving your best to these organizations who really are here to help you all thrive regardless of whether or not you're placed with them or not. And they are intrinsically a part of the fabric that is Public Allies. And so with that, as we develop our community within Public Allies, again, we are all interconnected and a part of one community. So with that, we will move forward.
And Jake, if I can just add something really quick. This is something that we are giving our local candidates tomorrow, but we'll go ahead and attach it via email. And that's going to be a list of the organizations that are actually going to be physically present at the matching fair itself, in addition to just the name of the positions that are available. So what we very much encourage you to do is, to better your chances of being placed, is to do research on all of the organizations as they relate to their mission and their beneficiaries. So we definitely don't necessarily expect you to be fully knowledgeable of every single entity that we work with, but certainly enough to be able to speak to the organization's mission and what they may be able to kind of provide for our community. And this is also a great opportunity for you to kind of narrow down as to what organizations you really are interested in, or to kind of narrow down what your areas of passion may be throughout the program and throughout the 10th month. Thanks, Jake.
Thank you. So again, as aforementioned in the agenda itself, we will begin with ally introductions. Again, this recording is for out-of-state candidates, so unfortunately you will not be present to kind of go over that development component with Fernanda and I tomorrow. However, we definitely suggest you utilizing the resources that we will be sending to you. So again, the day will start off with ally introductions. All of our finalists will gather together and individually give their elevator pitch. So again, this can include background, experience, skill set, and really it's your opportunity to convey your willingness to learn and your eagerness to be a part of this program. The partner organizations fully understand that not everybody going through this program has a master's degree and 10 years worth of experience. And so we just want to know that you want to be here and to make that impact in your community. Having gone through the program, so having gone through the program myself, I understand that standing in front of a group of people for the first time, having to sell yourself can be nerve-wracking. And so again, that's why throughout the day we do have opportunities for you to individually go meet with these partner organizations. So again, nerves are something that we all have, especially when it comes to public speaking. And so we really just encourage you to, not overthink it and really just kind of convey yourself in the best way possible and to not overthink it. So again, the roundtable or speed networking component of the day, you will each have about 4 minutes with each organization, and we will rotate. And so what that looks like is the partner organization supervisor kind of explaining their role with the organization itself, and really trying to give you the most up-to-date overview of the program and what you'll be doing for that program itself. Following the roundtable, we will do informal networking for roughly an hour. And so this is your opportunity to approach the organizations that really stuck out to you or of interest to you, or even organizations that you might have not initially thought you would have been interested in, but want to do more follow-up with. Again, having gone through the program, I did not place with my first 3 matches, and I was, I was torn. I didn't understand why. I felt incomplete or not worthy, and I ended up matching with an organization who I wouldn't have wanted been placed anywhere else. And so just kind of keep that in mind while you are doing your selection process, and really give these nonprofits these organizations an opportunity, because you will learn something about the nonprofit that, again, you might not have knew or thought they did initially. So definitely take advantage of the informal networking, because that's your opportunity to approach these partner organizations of ours and learn more than you were able to in the 4 minutes from the speed networking component.
Yes, and to Jake's point, and we'll go over a little bit more about the actual matching process itself. But certainly one of the biggest goals that we have as public allies is that really, regardless of whether you are placed, the skills that you are going to gain within that opportunity and through the program are going to be just transferable across the field. But Jake is a great example of what it's like to go through the program, and he went through it twice, to where it wasn't necessarily his first choice, but I can speak and attest to his skill set as his coworker that he gained a significant amount of opportunities and knowledge and skills throughout both of his placements, which were incredibly diverse. But again, those skills are very much transferable just across the field as a whole.
Right. So as we are a federally funded program, there are prohibited activities in which allies, while on the clock or while counting hours, cannot participate in. As a citizen, you are able to participate outside of program hours or work hours, but nothing that we can clock time for. And so we will kind of show some examples, but again, as private citizens, feel free while you are on Public Allies in AmeriCorps time. We can't have you and have you participate in the following. I forgot we took that slide out. So when it comes to prohibited activities, you will find a list, and we will also, you will see it attached with some of the paperwork that we do send you as far as what that looks like. And it's our job as program managers to ensure that your position descriptions and the activities that you will be working on a daily basis with your partner organization do not interfere with that compliance component. And so that's really our job. However, we can go over more of the prohibited activities as needed. And so moving to capacity building, again, that's what your job is to do as an ally, is faced with a nonprofit and to help them build capacity. And so, you know, the kind of textbook definition would be capacity building as whatever is needed to bring a nonprofit to the next level of operational, programmatic, financial, or organizational maturity. And with that, the 4 ways in which Public Allies itself kind of assesses capacity building includes program development, evaluation, and delivery, volunteer, technology use, and outreach. And so as we develop these position descriptions per partner organization, these are kind of the overall categories in which we develop those position descriptions for. Awesome. So we won't really go too much into this because, again, this is our job. However, you know, you per nonprofit or your placement organization, PO is what we call them, you will have service objectives. That can be 1 service objective with multiple activities. It can be 3 service objectives with 2 activities. And so it really just varies. Again, we work with the organization itself to create these, and then it's our job as well as your supervisor's job to explain your role, as this is essentially your position with the organization. And Fernanda, feel free to jump in if I'm missing anything. But
sure. So the service objectives and your member position description are very different than what a typical job description would be. And what a service objective is essentially that. So it's the objective of your service. So what you are trying to accomplish throughout your 10th month period. So as public allies, you may have 1 to 3 service objectives as created in collaboration with our staff and the partner organizations. So to give you a pretty general, or I guess generally specific example, a service objective could be to, you know, say we're talking about Big Brothers Big Sisters, a fairly large organization and actually one of our partners here in Arizona. So they could have a service objective of developing and expanding their volunteer engagement program to provide their beneficiaries with more diverse volunteers. So that's a very broad service objective, but we know that the organization is essentially just trying to expand their volunteer program to fulfill the needs of how many beneficiaries there are. Now, those activities are what you see they're listed on under activity, output target, and additional details. The activities are essentially the duties that are going to take place to make that service objective happen. So what that may mean for our example is that the organization or Big Brothers Big Sisters may make more of an effort to make community presentations to improve their volunteer program. So they could be conducting outreach in different parts of the community. They could be conducting outreach within different demographics to recruit more volunteers to expand their program. Now, the output target could be really any number that's going to relate back to that activity. So for the purpose of this example, if the activity was to conduct outreach or presentations, the output target could be, you know, having an ally possibly conduct 10 presentations a month, or it could be, you know, 100 presentations for the 10th month period. It is essentially just a measurable number or a metric that we as public allies your organization and AmeriCorps as a whole is going to use to really kind of measure your growth or your development or your success towards that service objective. And what's really great about our position descriptions and how we actually build capacity and measure how successful you are in the program is that you all will report your work towards these service objectives every single month, which is something we'll cover on a different day. But we do measure our metrics on a monthly basis, and your organization may measure them on a more frequent manner. But for the purpose of just your participation as an ally, we want to ensure that you have a clear understanding as to what your goals are within your organization. So Jake and I thought it was important to kind of show you what the position description may look like on our end, because as our main beneficiary of our program, we just want to really make sure that you have a very specific goal-oriented path as it relates to public allies. But more than anything, we just want to make sure that you are successful in meeting those goals, which also relate back to your professional development. And again, this is just kind of an example of what it may look like. So if you'll see under narrative description, in this example, the member, which is what AmeriCorps calls public allies, or really anyone that partakes in any AmeriCorps program, it states the member will develop and implement ways to better reach residents of the Harambee neighborhood and connect them to the new wellness program our organization piloted last year. The ally will intentionally engage neighborhood residents in the design and implementation of the plan. So that's the overall service objective. This is what they want to build capacity in. So they want to grow in the manner of different ways that they reach these certain community members. As you'll see from the activities as listed below, how they're going to achieve that is by developing an outreach plan to target beneficiaries for participants or volunteers. That's also going to take them creating, or the organization creating and an ally implementing community presentations to improve beneficiary recruitment. And also a new one as public allies is that can also be done through engaging community voices in program development. So while the service objective is pretty general and it stays throughout the program, it can have a variety of different activities listed under it because there's multiple ways to kind of reach this overall objective or overall goal. Now, these activities, as seen here in this example, actually are taken from a narrative that Public Allies has created. So these activities are not created by the partner organizations. They're actually created by Public Allies and AmeriCorps. Because we have so many different affiliate locations, we need to ensure that we have some consistency, or as much consistency as possible, as how we record a Public Ally journey throughout the program. But what we do allow organizations to do is to implement as much detail as possible, and that's why we work with them collectively to create these service objectives. So you'll see that there's also a column for additional details, which is optional if they want to kind of narrow down a little bit more as to what that service objective or activity may need.
So a part of what we will be going over tomorrow will be a candidate biography form. And again, as we have so many individuals a part of this process who have varying ranges of academics or work backgrounds, our focus really is on, your strengths as an individual, what you want to learn more about, geared towards service learning, current interests, and in volunteer experience as well. And then, something fun like a bucket list item. So again, we will work with you to develop resumes, etc. The candidate biography form is a way for partner organizations to kind of get an overall snapshot of you as an individual, and not the kind of, typical mundane, here's my resume, etc.
So this candidate biography form is again something that we're going to have other candidates complete in person tomorrow, but this is going to be in another document that we attach to this overall presentation. We do ask that you have it completed and emailed to publicallies@asu.edu. I would say at maximum, absolute maximum, by Monday morning at 8 a.m. But we would very much appreciate if you could send them over the weekend or throughout the days to come. It really should take no more than, I would say, 15 minutes. But to Jake's point, we have a lot of candidates, again, from a wide variety of backgrounds, and the candidate biography form allows us to almost equal the playing field, again, with candidates, because some may come in with a little bit maybe of a stronger resume or just a resume in general, but this candidate biography form kind of just allows us to be able to provide both quantitative and qualitative data of candidates to partner organizations as well. Okay.
And so as we kind of near the end here, you know, this is a professional development program in which we do expect, you know, business professional or business casual attire. You know, this is not necessarily a program that you can show up in tattered jeans and flip-flops. And so for those of you who will be attending Matching Fair, we highly suggest looking into, you know, business appropriate attire, as there will be a congregation of multiple nonprofit executives from throughout the Valley. And again, other people or other finalists, I'm sorry, who, I mean, Fernanda and I have vetted through quite a bit of them, and they have great style. And so we really want to ensure that, you know, your attire is reflective of, you know, the path in which you want to develop in. And I don't know if you want to add anything else to that, Fernanda.
Sure. So again, kind of piggybacking off of what Jake mentioned, this is it can be a fairly competitive program. And we want to make sure that everyone is set up for success. And what that means is actually dressing for success. The program itself, while it may not start until September, the process really starts from the beginning. And what that means is typically, while you can bring a resume, your candidate biography form, and this and that, and these great experiences into the program, because you are only meeting with our partner organizations for a few minutes at a time for that initial meet and greet, that is really where you want to kind of take the time to shine. So I know I've mentioned this to all of you, but because we only have a certain number of positions available, that means that it is not a guarantee that you will be matched with an organization. And that's why we wanted to offer this opportunity virtually, just to kind of lessen the potential financial I guess, loan on you for applying to the program. But because you're already making such a big effort to come to Arizona, which we are very excited to meet you, we also want to make sure that you are set up for success in every way possible. So if you look at the picture, you will notice there is a very big difference between business professional and business casual. For the purposes of Matching Fair, we highly, highly, highly suggest dressing in business professional attire, and just ensuring, again, to Jake's point, that you do not show up in jeans, you don't show up in flip-flops. Personal hygiene and grooming is a very large aspect of just professional development as a whole. But we certainly don't necessarily expect you to go out and buy this amazing wardrobe. But we just want to make sure that you kind of put a successful outfit together. But if you do need assistance or guidance or maybe some feedback on that, we have had candidates kind of lay out their attire either on a hanger or maybe against kind of a background and send us maybe photographs or a description of it just to get our feedback. But more than anything, it would really just take research on your end. But we are certainly here to assist you through that process if necessary. Alrighty, so we very much appreciate you joining us for our first webinar. This is new to Jake and I, so we were a little bit nervous about doing this, but we very much appreciate your patience throughout this process and, of course, for your interest in our program. to just follow up on, or at least to close out the session. This video is going to come with accompanying forms and documents that we will need you to complete and review. So for the matching fair itself, please, please, please have your elevator pitch ready to go, a 30-second elevator pitch. We will send you some resources on that, but of course you're welcome to do your own research or to send it to us if you need a little bit of maybe feedback or guidance on it. But you are going to be presenting that to all of our partner organizations. Each person will do it one by one. Lastly, we do need, again, that candidate biography form by absolute latest Monday at 8 a.m. And again, if you are traveling from out of state, I know I've mentioned this a few times, but we certainly, while our goal is to get as many people placed as possible, we just want to reiterate the fact that we can't necessarily guarantee a placement. While we as public allies would love to host every candidate that we have, because it is a mutually beneficial partnership, there are quite a bit of different entities that work throughout this process. So we just want to reiterate the fact that placement is not a guarantee, but we are certainly going to do everything on our part as possible to help you get matched. Now, if you are traveling from out of state, please just keep in mind that your airfare or travel or accommodations will not be compensated for by public allies. It will be out of pocket for yourself. But again, we will work certainly our hardest to help you get matched to an organization. But more than anything, we are incredibly excited to meet everyone, especially those of you that are coming out of state. While Jake and I are a little bit newer to the organization, we are just so excited to kind of proceed with a new cohort and new curricula and new experiences. With Jake bringing in his experience with his 2 terms and my experience of actually hosting an ally at my organization, we're just really excited to kind of put our heads together and meet new people and hopefully have you stay here to create local change or to take this knowledge back to your home states and create local change there. But if anything, if you have any questions or concerns, you are more than welcome to contact us. Again, I have my own individual email, which is mftorres@asu.edu. Jake has his own as well, but if you would just kind of like to send something that will reach all of us, the publicallies@asu.edu email is certainly the best one to use. Anything else, Jake, that I may have missed?
No, you generally do a phenomenal job of covering. Again, like she said, with anything that we, we're not unable to do Q&A at this point, so definitely make sure you reach out to either of us for any follow-up questions.
Mm-hmm. And I'm so sorry. Last thing, I totally forgot about this. Tomorrow we're actually taking headshot pictures of our candidates to just help us with our matching process on the 17th. So Alex, our project specialist, did contact all of you and asked that you do send us a headshot of yourself against either a white or a clear background. This is solely for the purpose of matching fair itself. But if you could also send that to us as soon as possible. Typically, this is something that we take in person, but since we do have quite a bit of out-of-state candidates, if you could just send us something that you may have. It doesn't have to be of a professional level, but just something that we can clearly just see your face and preferably from here and up against a light background. But I'm pretty sure that is it. But if anything else, thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to meeting you.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.